Who are we? It is Sunday, November the 27th, 2022 at 12:50 p.m. locally in Eugene, Oregon. For the last 2.5 to 3 weeks, I have actively experimented with the separation between particles and fields, which are the two elements that make up all of reality. Now, when it comes to our physical body, obviously that's particles because it's made up of matter, and matter is created by the electromagnetism that holds together cells, atoms, and atoms are made up of neutrons, protons, and electrons. However, I am a consciousness, an essence, a soul, something that is not the body, but is of the body. And if I am not particle, then what am I? And clearly, the limitations in quantum physics, the way that we have found our way to it at this particular point in our human history, is then I must be a field. So if I am a field, my soul, essence, consciousness, thought, whatever you might particularly call that which you are, what then am I in the totality of existence, reality? And that's where I went with this. So for the last 2.5 to 3 weeks, I've done a series of experiments. I have spent hours, sometimes full days into, the overnight, in meditation, contemplation, without movement, without eating or drinking or doing anything except laying down as if I am sick. And by that I mean I pulled the covers up to my neck, kept my eyes closed, and then just allowed my mind to wander. I tried not to think of anything other than just expansiveness, as if I, let's say, were doing drugs or had a fever or that kind of thing, when you don't have a particular direction that you're taking your thoughts, but you're not the kind of lightly sleeping or lightly conscious where you're thinking about your day, things you have to do, you're hungry, those kinds of things. I found a way past that. And at certain junctures, I ultimately felt disconnected from my body. Now, that's where the magic began to happen. At first, I wasn't sure it was real. At a certain point, I actually got up and was walking around, and I didn't feel like I was part of my body at all. I was moving with the body as if I was surrounding the body, but I was not of the body. I couldn't feel the steps I was taking, the movements of my arms. My hearing was distorted, my vision was distorted, but not in the way you would think. So all of my senses were muted. I couldn't taste anything, and so forth. So I found that fascinating, and I knew that I was moving. I was aware that I had control over things in the same way I normally did, but I literally did not feel connected to my body, utilizing it in a way that we recognize as being self. That wasn't what was happening. And I was able to maintain that state of awareness until I was disengaged by something else. If I went for a walk, I would slowly rejoin the body. Not at first, it would take about an hour, give or take. If I went to like a mile down the road to the grocery store in the shopping center at the first Airbnb where I was here in Eugene about a week and a half ago. And this has been going on since before I arrived in Eugene, and I have purposefully entertained this series of experiments to try and figure out, what am I? I spent the next few days completely in solitude. I stayed offline. I stayed off of my phone because I didn't want to be distracted in any way. I read books. I played with the cats. But I spent a lot of time sitting by this beautiful gas fireplace, looking into the flames, feeling the heat, enjoying the experience of not only being alone, not only being in solitude, but being completely detached from the rest of the world in a silent location. Now, you may be able to hear rain coming and going as I'm standing outside on the back porch of this place right now. And this is the first time that I've actually talked in over a week. But other than the rain, the neighborhood around this house is completely silent as well. Not a bird, not a squirrel, nothing. And it's mind-blowing, to be honest with you. How it could be this quiet, I don't know. But it is. And it has empowered the process of this experiment. So where does that leave me, and why am I sharing it? Well, I'm sharing it because it isn't something I think that the average person has the opportunity to experience, even if they wanted to, because how many people can be completely alone in solitude, both solitude without being around devices or choosing not to be around devices, no sound, no neighbors, no nothing, and then choose to spend such long periods of time in deep contemplation. I would say very few people would, if or would even want to. But now that I have, I understand what I am a little bit more, and I also understand the infinity of possibility when it comes to what I am. I am a field of energy, a field of some kind of frequency, a field of flow that is unique to myself. But obviously, if it is a field, it is everywhere at the same time. No exception. Being a field that is everywhere, this particular body, this piece of machinery of tech that offers me the opportunity to experience what it's like to be human and have a linear life, it isn't the only expression that this wave or this field is connected to. I believe that there is an infinite number of realities that I can and probably already am connected with, simultaneous with this one. And the reason I feel that has more to do with the journeys that I took along those long periods of contemplation when I was in my mind traveling to various locations that I could only describe as similar to this reality, but not the same. And they were detailed. I remember some of the same people being in what I'll call a mansion. And in that mansion, this one individual was talking to me about A, B, and C. Let's just leave it there. And all these other people were there, and they were people that have been in my life at various points, but never knew each other. And they were all of a certain age, where in reality, they are varying ages, and some are no longer here. And this is only one example of dozens and dozens of these locations, these visits that I was able to participate in. And then when I came out of it and began walking around this house where I currently am, not feeling that I am my body, feeling like I am that 5 sizes too big overcoat that is following around in the surface area of the body as it moves throughout the premises here. And then I got a text message from someone, and when I went to look at that text message, it had a link, And it was the first and only link that I went to during this whole last 2.5 to 3 week period. And when I did, oh wow, I can't tell you what I'm seeing. It would interrupt the flow of this. And when I went to that link, it was the same person in this mansion who was telling me the story of A, B, and C. And they were literally talking about A, B, and C, but from another context. They were not in a mansion. They were in their own home. They were talking about how others assumed their house was a trailer with a bunch of guns in it because they live in Texas right now, and how that's such a misunderstanding, and why they felt that way, and why they felt other people perceived them in a certain way, and the impact that it had on them, and how they respond to people like that. That's the exact same conversation that I was having with this person in this other state of being. Not only am I aware that I am not a particle, that I am a field, I am excited that I can relate to the many worlds theory in quantum mechanics because I had firsthand experience of that through these days and weeks of elongated contemplation. Now, what does that mean to you? Probably nothing. But what it means to me is that I will never be able to look at the world the same. I will never be able to perceive myself the same, and I'm grateful for that because I feel like I've been given the opportunity through my choice to go through this 2.5 to 3 week period of experimentation to truly understand a slice of the bigger picture instead of just a tiny little fleck that we consider to be the all that is right now.